What makes Nats so good? A question that can go so many different ways. Currently, he's the IGL for Team Liquid, which might make you think that he plays in a very complex way. But it's exactly the opposite. The best way I can explain Nats is that he is simple but effective. On top of that, he's fearless, plays with no hesitation, and has insane spray control. And this lets him make round-winning plays to carry his team. After reviewing his gameplay, it's clear to me why he's been a professional since 2020. So with the intro out of the way, I expect you guys to actually watch this whole video because so many of you guys have been requesting a non-duelist review. So let's start with his defense half. The first thing you need to know about his defense half is how effective he is at fast rotating. I've talked about fast rotating before in my Oxy video, but Nats shows that you can do it as well on Sentinel and Viper. Starting with this first round on Ascent, he starts by mollying B main early to show some pressure and then immediately knifes out and runs to spawn. There's not even any noise on the map yet, he's just gone. When he finally makes it in spawn, his teammates call that it's A. Now he can commit to his rotate and then go over to A, and luckily he gets 2 spray kills through the smoke. Eventually he gets 1 more and then gets traded out. The important thing to see on this round is that he is fast rotating on Sentinel, and some of you guys might think, well Dopai, what happens if they just wait out the molly and go back and hit B? Well, that is what his turret would see, and then he would be able to activate his second molly and then rotate back into sight. We have a similar round here on Cypher's split. He starts by doing an aggro A cam to pressure the lurk. This is pretty similar to what he did on Ascent where he did the early molly. In this case here, since he's already jumped off of rafters, he's going forward to do an aggro trip, and then from there he's just going to rotate to ramp. In this case here, his util is still broken by the solo lurker, but he decides to actually just rotate to mid and look for fights there. And because of his decision to fast rotate towards the mid noise, he's able to actually find 3 kills. But that's what he does on Sentinel. Let's take a look at his Viper gameplay. Here, he's playing Boiler. Now most Vipers when they play this map are playing towards B, but Nats wants to prioritize fast rotating. So when the orb comes up, he spams a little bit, then he immediately runs over to A when there's contact made. And I think this play is what makes Nats so dangerous. Instead of just rotating in like normal and going rafters, he goes from rafters into top nest into top 410 and plays next to his smoke. And he ends up getting 4 kills off of his weird position. Now getting into a position like that on top of 410 is really difficult when you're playing a fast rotate position. That's something that you would expect out of like a site anchor. You know, they're hitting your site, you pop your smokes, you get into a little ratty spot. But he knows the timing of his smoke so well. Hopping over to another round in the same game where he's on an eco, he's trying to aggress mid, but then they make A pressure, so he immediately rotates over. He toggles the wall so his jet can fall back, and then he drops it again so he can save some fuel. And then he's trying to combo his molly with the shock dart. As soon as he gets his first kill on the Reyna, he knows his molly is still up, so he activates his wall and runs out on the left side. And because his util is up, he knows that the enemy can only be in certain spots. And that means his pre-aim on the Sova is perfect. Honestly, at this point, I don't even know what's kind of going on. He pops the ult, there's an alarm bot, so I guess he decides to fall back so he doesn't get spammed. And kills the Killjoy. And then maybe he's in his overheat moment here because he just wide swings the jet and kills him too. But again, the most important thing to highlight here isn't actually the kills, it's the fact that he fast rotated and coordinated his util. Okay, I have 1 more round to break down for you guys, and it's still in the same game. This round, our KO literally just peeks mid and kills the Viper, so he simply just rotates towards A because there's some noise there. But what's interesting about this round is that they have no one on A site, so he's being a bit more patient with his molly out. And when the enemy team starts to take the site, he hears the Reyna blind, he decides to pop his molly, pops his wall, and then he runs out. This is what we call a fast retake, or a fast flood. He's able to catch the Reyna falling back because he's the solo player in front of the smoke and the rest of his teammates are behind the wall. And then he immediately knifes out to go for a play because he knows his wall is about to go down and he wants to play close to the smoke. Thankfully, this KO just happens to throw a perfect flash when the wall drops and he's able to get 2 kills. Hopefully you can kind of understand now why I described him as I did at the start. He's playing very simple, right? Fast rotating. His spray control is really good, and he's able to make plays. And there's literally no hesitation in his decision making. But this then begs the question, Dopai, what does Nats do when he's not fast rotating? Well, honestly, some rounds he's actually just AFK and doing nothing. But wait, I think he's just lagging out. He wouldn't have that issue if he was using today's sponsor, Exit Lag. Back in November 2023, my ping suddenly doubled or tripled depending on what server I was playing on. And keep in mind that I have fiber internet, so I was like, what is going on here? I tried contacting Valorant support to see if they knew what was up, and after some troubleshooting, they claimed that it was my internet provider's fault. So I ended up reaching out to my internet provider to see what could be done. And then they claimed that it was Valorant's fault. And it seemed like there was no solution. I literally went back and forth with them for almost an entire year, pretty much till August 2024. And at this point, I started looking for other solutions, like Exit Lag. Luckily, they had a free trial and I wanted to see if it worked for me, so I downloaded it and it worked. It fixed all my ping issues and it was very easy to use. And after completing my trial, I was like, this thing actually works. It's not just a one-time thing. And I've been using it ever since. It's very simple to use, so let me show you guys. Normally when I'm queuing in Valorant, I normally just select one server, typically Illy, and I'll do the same thing on exit lag. And as you can see in the lobby, it says I have a little over 30 ping, but when I get in game, it drops down to what it used to be. And sometimes if I get a server that isn't Illy, like Texas, my ping is 50. So all I have to do is Alt Tab out, select Texas on exit lag, apply the routes, and then I just toggle it off and back on, and it will fix itself. Basically what's happening here is that my internet provider has bad routing to the servers for Valorant, and they didn't want to fix it. The exit lag basically just changes you to a better route that has lower ping for you. So if you wanted to try it out just like I did, they have a free trial for 3 days. And if you do end up liking it, you can get 50% off with the yearly subscription with the link below. Like I said, I still use it every time I play, so I hope it works for you. So the other thing he does super well on defense is fighting for extremities. Hopping back over to Ascent, you can see he's doing the exact same start with the molly, and he's actually rotating off. But this time, they shot the molly. So he's making his way back over. And he immediately asks his Sova to do a deep recon so he can fight the guy.
Can you deep review?
His turret gets first contact for him, so he's able to get the free kill on the Phoenix. And then the dart shows one player, so then he pushes him. And unfortunately, he gets one tap because there was actually 2 of them. But you can see how fearless he is. In another round here, he's on eco, but he doesn't do the early molly. Instead, he just walks up, playing anti-flash against the Phoenix, and he asks his Sova to dart, which takes a little bit.
Can you review deep?
People top mid.
Can you review deep?
Top mid, 3 mid of this one.
And he just wide swings and killjoy diffs this guy, eating all of the turret bullets. So at this point, it's pretty disrespectful, I think. He's just fighting B main. Let's take a look at another map. So it's the same Viper Icebox game that we just looked at where he was fast rotating. But this is one of their first gun rounds. And he decides to solo push up B main with no help, no util, and gets into the deep corner. And somehow he just holds it down and gets 4 due to his insane spray control. So what are we trying to highlight here? The fact that Nats is just playing crazy and he's hitting shots? I think it's more important to note that he's willing to fight early space, even if that means he's taking a risk. And I would have assumed he was thinking that he might actually fight maybe 1 or 2 players and not the whole team. Because I don't know about you guys, I don't really play against many people in ranked who end up contacting B pretty late into the round. I would assume if he heard like an early drone or a lot of footsteps, he would have backed off immediately on the round start. But since they didn't use any util right away, he snuck into the corner, and that's probably also why he caught them off guard. And this is exactly what we see on the Cypher split game. Take a look at this round. He went for the early camera, just like how he did before, trying to pressure the lurker and get that early info. But this time, they're actually rushing his bomb site. And this is where we see Nats play close to his smokes, in this case his cages, super well. Immediately, he throws down a second cage and goes into it. Thankfully, his trip is high enough to dodge a Skydog or something, so the Neon just runs into it and he gets that free kill. And he immediately knifes out, goes into the smoke, and continues pushing. And this leads to a very successful A-site hold. The thing that I want you guys to see here is that he doesn't just fall back. He will play his cages, he will try to hold down the choke point, and it's all instinctual to him. He does it so quickly. So to quickly recap his defense half, he is very good at playing fast rotate, and occasionally, like literally 1 round and a half, he will AFK on his camera, and he is very, very aggressive at contesting extremities. Let's hop over to the attack half. Honestly, the most common thing that I saw on his attack half is that he kind of just runs it down with the team. So on split, this is a pretty standard A rush, but you just sit in your camera at the start and then you just throw cages. Normally when your teammates are all going A site, you double cage A ramp. In this round here, they were going both main and A ramp, so he decides to cage both. And you can see he's literally just running it down, looking for fights and trades. Pretty much same thing on this Viper Icebox game. He's throwing the rafter orb, then he throws his wall, and he's trying to get close to his teammates here. Unfortunately, he gets slowed down by the rain on top pipes and then the dart, so he's not actually close to his team in terms of spacing. So everything's delayed a little bit and he has to wait for a second fuel cycle. But as soon as he has enough fuel to put the wall back up, he walks out and he plays close to his smoke and gets 2. Obviously, he hit some really nice shots here and he's good at playing around his smokes. But the reason why I picked this round is that he's throwing the util for his teammates and he's trying to go with them. He's not lurking or anything. We have another kind of quirky round to take a look at, but he rushes B and he actually has an AWP. And he gets the opening kill. I did want to highlight his scoped weapons, but I wasn't really sure how to do it. He buys a lot of scoped weapons, like Outlaws and Ops, and this was just a good example because he's rushing B with it. So he gets the opening kill, runs it down with the team, he ults, playing for the win con, and then at some point it's a 5v2, so he just leaves his ult and he gets a couple more kills. Okay, so Nats knows what to do when they're all 5-man rushing, But what does he do when they're not rushing? Well, this round on Ascent is pretty aggressive, so let's take a look. He starts the round by literally wide swinging cat and wide swinging mid. And then he throws his molly to clear pizza and he continues walking up mid. He gets the omen smoke from his teammate and he's continuing to work this space and eventually walks into a B split. That allows him to catch the killjoy and eventually kill the Sova that's in the smoke. But let's go back for a second. We just watched Nats run up mid and clear all of mid pretty much by himself with the assistance of the omen smoke and the Sova dart and get the first blood on B. That isn't something that you would expect out of a Sentinel player. That's something you would expect out of a Duelist player. And I think this is one of the reasons why I'm such a big fan of Nats. The roles don't really mean too much to him. He knows what to do. I found that after reviewing so many players in this game specifically, people are very defined by their roles. Whereas in a game like CS, which I came from first, there's a lot more flexibility. People can very easily transition into another role. For example, an entry might back off a little bit and use supportive util for other teammates to go in. Or they might just go for a lurk. But I rarely ever see that adaptability and flexibility in Valorant VODs. In another round, he's going cat instead of market. He immediately jump peaks, and then he's shift walking all the way up towards cat. His teammates end up getting fought in A main, so he speeds up a little bit and he's actually able to catch 2 kills. This round is a lot less aggressive than the previous round because he didn't actually make any noise. He kind of just shift walked the whole way up. So some people might think of this as a lurk, but I kind of view it more of like a soft split kind of thing. Regardless, hopefully you can kind of see his willingness to take space and make plays. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't go for lurks. I mean, Nats is literally known for his lurks in pro play. And he's very creative with it. He asks his Rana to start market to spam the rope smoke so he can find a timing. He tells his teammates to all run male as he walks into the rope smoke.
Reina, can you go market? Can you go market and spam vents, please? Okay, Jet and Sky and Omen, you guys go towards male. I'll run into the vent smoke, okay? Cypher A.
He's not on that. No box, under, look at him. Stand is it.
And he ends up getting a flank off. Now it's only 1 kill, but you can imagine if his teammates got stalled out, that actually might open up the A site. He does this exact same thing on the Viper Icebox game where he tells his teammates to make massive pressure so he can walk through the mid orb. And again, he finds a free kill on the B player. But I also want to highlight the first 2 rounds of this game where his lurks didn't go as well. This pistol round lurk here is a pretty common one. Vipers will go for this timing to flank A early, and this enemy killjoy is very aware of that, so he's sitting in the window and he gets a free kill. In the next round, Nats was trying to exploit the fact that he was window and go under tube instead, and the killjoy is sitting there waiting for him. So it's not always that lurks are effective, it's just a risk you have to take. Sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong, and Nats is okay dying to find out. And I tell the clients that I work with that this is a failure budget. Give yourself like 20% of the rounds to kind of limit test and see what you can get away with. If you try to play 100% perfect and not make any mistakes, then you won't ever take any risk and make plays to carry the game. So another thing about attack is that there are post plants, and we haven't really spoke about it yet. There's a lot of rounds to look at, but I wanted to narrow it down to 2. They do a pretty standard A rush here, but there's 2 things I want you guys to notice. 1, he's using both of his mollies to play anti-flood. Basically, he's throwing mollies in the smoke so the enemy team can't run out and help the site players. The second thing is his positioning. He's actually not leaving A main. He's staying in A main to play the post plant. In Ascent specifically, playing in the mains allows you to actually play a strong post plant because you get to avoid utility and you can still take fights. You're not too far away. Now, I don't know if this guy's a prophet or what, but he says, I just need 3 headshots. And take a look.
Ah yes, I need just 3 headshots. 3 headshots will be enough.
He finds his timing and he literally gets 3 headshots. Like, I don't know what's happening there, but I'm down. This guy's the GOAT. In a more normal round, he has Killjoy ult, so they go B, drone early for the angle, you know, all that shenanigans. The Killjoy ult will clear the whole site, so now they can only flood. What is he going to do? He's going to throw mollies to anti-flood. Same thing as before, he double molly spawn, and he's staying in the main. After hearing the enemy teams come out, he asks for the Sova dart and the Omen blind, and he's able to get another 3 kills. And as soon as he dies, he opens up the scoreboard and take a look. He has 39 kills and it's a 13-9 game. This was the last ranked game he played before he flew out to Masters Toronto. So now we know why he was in the form he was at Toronto. To recap his attack half, because that was a lot. A standard thing to do is rush with the team, using his utility and just going. Playing primarily for the trades. Not much to unpack there, he's just really good at it. The second thing that's a bit more unorthodox for Sentinel players is that he will take space and he will aggressively take space on a Sentinel. And occasionally he will sprinkle in some lurks, even if they won't go well, and most of his success on lurks will come from when he's waiting for pressure that his teammates will make and he catches the timing elsewhere. Last but not least, his post plants were very strong. At least on Ascent, he was playing towards the mains so he can catch timings and punish the players not clearing him. So that was the end of his ranked breakdown. Now we'll see how it translates into his pro matches. And for this, I decided to take a look at the split game against PRX. On their bonus round here, they're just 5-manning A, and similarly to their ranked game, Nats is with them. Thankfully, they get the 2 opening entries, which means Nats is probably going to stay in main. And that allows him to catch Jing walking down. Something that's a little bit different is that in pro matches, they will go for double lurks, so take a look at this round. Team Liquid is down 4v5, so they go for a slightly riskier play here where they 3-2-1 through the main smoke and end up getting the kill on screens. After getting that kill, Camo decides to go forward, but Nats goes back to A ramp. And I think Nats was probably just going to hold A ramp until his teammates came back, but Camo ended up dying. So then he goes for his own play A ramp and he's able to catch a kill there as well. And he's able to catch Jing with his knife out because he probably thought they would both go towards site after getting the kill instead of just one. So you can see some elements from his ranked games bleeding into here. He will go for rushes with his team. He'll also go for lurks with his team. And he kind of will hold space sometimes, like the A main choke. But what about defense? Well, something that Nats does really well is play aggressive, even when he's alone. And he does that here, even against an eco. The attackers throw this weird aggro mid-smoke, and he decides to play in it and activate his orb. And that nets him 2 free kills, and he's able to maintain mid control after with his molly. Eventually he gets a third and then gets traded out, but you can see he's playing aggressive even in the pro matches. But the more impressive thing that we saw in his ranked games was his fast rotate, which we didn't really have good footage to see this, but he does fast rotate this round. Take a look at the minimap. Now the context of the round is a little bit different. There's only 40 seconds left, but he's rotating from mid to B and he's getting on site to play with his teammates. He ends up flooding out and gets 2 kills. And last but not least, we see a Nats Lurk masterclass. Taking a look at the start of this round in OT, you can see he's just passively holding outside B to see if there's any aggression from PRX. He sits here for the next 40 seconds until his teammates walk up A. As his teammates are gearing up for the A site take, he knows that that will create enough pressure for him to find a mid gap. Thankfully, Team Liquid gets the opening 2 entries, which means that Nats can go for a round securing lurk rather than a round winning lurk. The difference is that he goes male here for a big wrap instead of going ropes potentially for a more obvious lurk. And he is rewarded with the kill and throws a molly, unfortunately gets traded, but he pretty much secured the round with that lurk. So hopefully you guys learned some things that you could take away into your ranked games. Nats is a beast, and honestly there's a lot more that I could have added into this video, like the little gimmicks he does, but we'll just leave it at that. Now if you thought that fast rotating on Sentinel was a little bit strange, then you might find it a little bit more surprising when Exter doesn't actually fast rotate on Duelist. So take a look at that video here.